That was a Times Now World exclusive broadcast. Navika Kumar in conversation with Daniel Pearl's father. And this is after Operation Sindoor saw the end of Masood Azhar's brother, who was involved in the killing of Daniel Pearl. The world is talking about it. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra is with us, Major General G.G. Dwivedi, Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman, Lieutenant General Asit Mistry, Brigadier Sandeep Tyagi. Abhijit, let's talk about this. You heard the father. He's thanking Indian Army for taking out the killers of Daniel Pearl. I mean, it was in 2001, 23rd, 24th January, when he had left his Karachi apartment to pursue one interview with a terrorist, Mr. Gilani, I think, some Gilani he was, and he never returned. And on the 1st of February is when he was killed. Abhijit, you're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. The sad thing about all of this, Pranesh, is the fact that, the paper that Daniel Pearl worked for, the Washington Post, is so now vitriolically anti-India. They literally spew the propaganda of the same people that beheaded their own correspondent. Life doesn't come more full circle than this. Every week, a certain toxic jihadist keeps getting column space out there. And it's a standard thing. She might as well say that, Daniel Pearl's killing was secular. This is the world we live in today. Has anyone thanked us for getting rid of this fellow? No. We get some compassion and understanding from Daniel Pearl's father, but you saw he doesn't know much about the situation. His son clearly knew more. But this is the way it is. Either the world doesn't care or they don't give a damn, or in the case of the Washington Post, they actively aid, abet, and support.
And you're right, the world is not talking about it, in the manner that they should be. Because, Americans took out Osama bin Laden, but they could not take out the killers of Daniel Pearl. And now that India has taken the person out, killed Rauf Asghar, here, there's total silence, at least from that woke ecosystem. Like you said, you're absolutely spot on. Let me bring in Lieutenant General Asit Mistry. General Saab, this apart, what do you make of how Operation Sindoor has progressed over the last 3 days?
Good evening to everyone. Today is the third consecutive night when Pakistanis have chosen to replicate what they did on the night of 7th, 8th. Third night in a row, there has been a huge wave of drone attacks. Yesterday, it was 36 sites targeted. Today, so far, it is 26. It seems that they have a strategy to try and, find a little more intelligence about our impregnable air defense shield that we have, the integrated air defense and counter UAV system that we have. So the idea by Pakistan seems to be to try and overwhelm this system by sheer numbers. If you see the frontage that they are trying to address and the numbers of drone, that conveys a kind of a design to overwhelm the system and try and penetrate somewhere, so that they have some kind of a success and they can claim some kind of moral kind of, so-called victory and show it to their public, because right now, the stock of Pakistan Army is absolutely down in the Pakistani polity and in the country.
So what do we do?
We are concerned, we need to continue to maintain our poise and the way we control retaliation that we've been doing, and we will have to be a little patient and continue to do what we've been doing. And in the process, keep chipping away at the defensive systems that they have, and thereby create greater vulnerability, and in later stages, then be able to inflict much more damage to Pakistan with very little cost.
Okay. General Dwivedi, do you share that sentiment? Is that the right approach? Sir, if you can hear me. Major General G.G. Dwivedi, sir, if you can hear me.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. I
Yes.
didn't know that the question is for me.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think if you take a look at the last 3 days of operation events, I feel that India now has to change its stance because we have been only going for retaliation, very calibrated, and but I don't think Pakistan is getting a message. In fact, they are trying to escalate every day. And last night and tonight, we are hearing a lot of firing on, especially on the Punjab border, on the LOC. I think it's time now. We got to raise the heat. I mean, put more gas on the pedal because Pakistan appears not to be responding. And please remember, what is our war aim? What is the aim for this operation? We want to deter Pakistan. We want to end the proxy war. We want to end the terrorism. But it is apparent that the Pakistan generals are not getting what we are intending to. So therefore, I think that we need to bring in certain change in a strategy of calibrated and measured responses. We need to raise up the heat and also the intensity of the operations. Now, two things are very important. Firstly, Pakistan vulnerabilities. Pakistan is not geared for a prolonged engagement. So therefore, we need to cause attrition on Pakistan army and drain it. Second point is we need to hit a vulnerable point hard because until we do that, it's not going to shake up the opponent. And the third point is economically. We got to also tighten the noose because it's unfortunate today only IMF has cleared $2.3 billion loan to IMF, to the Pakistanis. And where this money is going to go? Is going to go into the war coffers. It's not going to go for any, project for
No,
the
you're absolutely
public.
right.
It's all going to go
IMF,
into the
and we
war.
were discussing this a short while ago. IMF is clearly putting, their economics or whatever over accountability. They can't be funding a terror state like Pakistan, whatever it is, and which is why India rightly abstained because, there is, no provision for a no vote. Abhijit, you know it. There is no provision for a no vote, which is why we had to abstain to send a, symbolic message that, look, we are not on board with this decision.
But also we must realize that what is the composition of the IMF board? It is largely 20-25% of board members are Americans. So therefore we know that how America plays a dual tune or double talk. If they really meant business, this IMF loan should have not been, accepted or should not be sanctioned. And second player is China. Of course, China didn't have much of leverage in IMF, but point is they were behind it. My point is that if we have to squeeze a terrorist nation, it has to be all-out effort. It has to be financed because Pakistan economy is in doldrums. And if such a loan was not sanctioned, they would have definitely come on the knees. Now they have got a lease, they are on the drip.
No,
Now
I understand that, General
And this
Dwivedi,
is
while India, could do very little about this, but what we can do, we must do. Abhijit.
Pranesh, Pakistan's weekly expenses, their annual expenses are 72 billion, which works out to approximately 1.35 billion a week. Their loan is about 2.3 billion, which means that's enough money for about 10 to 15 days. So, if this thing prolongs 10 to 15 days, let it be. We can actually look the Americans in the eye and tell them, well, buddy, you didn't help us at all. You don't get to say what we do and what we don't do. It's fine. We can actually look them in the eye and tell them to, take a hike. Fly a kite, suck on a lemon, choose your analogy.
Okay. Here's some breaking inputs coming in. Wing Commander Matiman, I'm coming to you, but, as India retaliates to Pakistani drone offensive. There's an atmosphere of fear in Pak-occupied Kashmir. Residents are living in fear, complaining that there is no one really to stop the Indian drones. Wing Commander Matiman, this is a small sample of our response to Pakistan.
Pranish, how I wish that we had some kind of a technology to be able to exactly gauge and compare the degree of fear amongst that currently exists in the in the minds of the Pakistani citizens vis-a-vis the amount of fear in the Indian citizens in the border states. Let's talk about tangibles. Let's leave that to everyone's imagination and talk about tangibles. What happened is the last 2 days have went past trying to prod and check and collect intelligence on each other's defensive and offensive capabilities, that is through drones. As the speaker, my fellow senior, prior to General Dwivedi spoke, that Pakistan is probably trying to gather more intelligence so that they get eventually into a position wherein they will be able to penetrate our so far impregnable defenses. So what are we doing? Waiting for that moment to arrive. On the other hand, on the diplomatic front, what's been happening in the last 2 days is the US started off with a stern warning to Pakistan to de-escalate immediately as they began to retaliate on our initial attack on terrorist hideouts and their infrastructure. The next day, the version came out to be a little more mellow. Till this morning, it came from his deputy, Mr. J.D. Vance, that we shall not intervene. Now, late in the evening, in the last media brief emanating from the White House, I think the White House has also finally given up on us, observing things the way we are meeting a drone for a drone, and they have come back to the old stance and advising both the nations to de-escalate immediately. Also in sync with that comes the visit of the Saudi foreign minister, who just met our foreign minister and currently is in Pakistan trying to broker peace. I shudder to imagine.
Broker peace is fine, but Wing Commander Matiman, that peace should come on our terms.
Absolutely. See what I am trying to arrive at. I shudder to believe that eventually we have been waiting and holding for this long, waiting for someone to eventually come and broker peace, so that our leadership is eventually in a position to justify itself. The tangibles still remain. 26 lost in the initial attack in Pahalgam, 16 more lost in the crossfire, artillery fire in our villages. That makes it 42 plus 58 wounded. So the count after the start of Sindoor on our side has in fact increased. We will have to attach a premium to every Indian life lost.
Absolutely. Indian blood is not cheap, and we must, like you are saying, attach a heavy price to it. General Dwivedi is wanting to say something. Yes, sir.
Yes, I think we should be very clear what is our aim. Our aim is not shooting the drones off each other. We are not here doing some target practice. The point is we should be very clear what we want to do. And we want to give a very strong message to Pakistan that should you not change this your proxy war, then you have to pay a price. Here 2-3 things are very important. First and foremost, so far, Pakistan Army has had a field day because there was a ceasefire on the line of control, and no punishment of being inflicted. They were sending the terrorists at will. In fact, when I was the commander in this area, there's nothing known as ceasefire. Moment they did something, we gave them right and proper. So therefore, Pakistan Army was having a field day, sending the terrorists, let them do the work on, we are tightening the grid, and that's what our strategy was. Now that we have taken on and taken the war across the LOC, we must ensure that it comes to a logical conclusion. And logical conclusion is that Pakistan army must be hit hard. And it must be hit in the guts. It must be hit on the LOC. Its infrastructure, which is supporting the terrorism,
Right.
must also be degraded and destroyed. So point is not how many drones we are shot and how many drones they are shot. This is not the game. The game is to hit them hard. And I think now, from the fourth night onwards, we must raise the level.
Okay, we
make
must
sure that
raise
we
the
keep
levels.
them.
General Mistry, what is your view, sir?
See, the whole issue is it's not a number game. What you're wanting to achieve is your strategic aim, and you have to create an effect for that. The larger aim is to create the wedge between the Pakistani army and the Pakistani people so that you sufficiently discredit the Pakistani army and they lose the levers of power. And the longer we can stretch this game, the more expensive and more difficult it becomes for Pakistan army to hold on to those levers of power. So we'll have to calibrate our response. While ratcheting up in our retaliation is certainly part of the game, but we have to let this game continue longer, as much as we can stretch it. As I said, you have to keep stripping away at their defensive capability and enhance their vulnerability so that you can strike them with impunity. So it's not that you're not going to increase your intensity of attack, but you've got to calibrate it, which has been our policy from day one.
Now, when you hear comments by, the Pakistani political class, their defense minister, for instance, Khwaja Asif, who says that, look, our second line of defense will come from madrasas. What do you make of a statement like this?
It's a nation of jihadis. It's a nation of terrorists. Their army is led by a madrasa educated jihadi, who fortunately today in the morning, one of the channels ran a video of General Munir addressing his troops. You should have heard his words and the tone and tenor, the way he was talking. Narai Takbi and so. That is not how a professional general would be talking to his actual regular troops. So it's only a face-saving measure. So it's to segregate between the different classes of citizenry that exists in Pakistan would only be foolhardy. What we need to do, we must do. Just prior to your program, Navika was asking Daniel Pearl's old dad, and the question was, do you expect US to avenge the killing of your son? And remember, that was just one person murdered in cold blood. Here we stand exposed, having lost 42, and the count still goes on. We are and we have the Pakistanis in the pit. My opinion is we hit them hard when they are at their lowest, when they are the most vulnerable. That is how it goes, and that's what my understanding of the situation is.
But General Mistry, from an army man to an army man, your, assessment of Mullah Munir, as he's called, the jihadi general.
Is that question for me?
Yes, General Mistry.
Yes, he is Mullah Munir. You please remember his rant 6 days before the 22nd April. He's talking of a two-nation theory, which almost implies he's taking a nation 75 years back instead of taking it forward. And this whole change of targeting that the Pahalgam terrorists have done is a change of strategic, targeting methodology of terrorists, and that could not have happened without the express blessings of Mullah Munir. Terrorists have never targeted tourists as directly as they have done in Pahalgam. It was a major change in approach. And I reiterate, it could not have happened without the blessings at the top. So he is absolutely behind this, and there is obviously a design that he is following. He is totally under kind of a siege. He is facing multiple threats. There is a serious question to the credibility of Pakistan army. The Balochis and the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, both the western two states are up in a boil. Politically, Imran Khan's popularity does not diminish. And the only person who is able to, rule the roost, I mean, you mean to say Prime Minister Sharif is making any decisions? No, I'm sorry. He is an absolute bystander. So everything is being orchestrated by Munir at the moment. And this is playing to his design. He's got a design to kind of do this kind of thing. And
yeah, so if he's got a design, let's, take him out. Let's, do something. Let's do something that, Mullah Munir becomes history, and that this lesson becomes a history not just for Pakistan, but for anyone who dares to look at India in the way that they, they have by doing what they did in Pahalgam. We have some inputs coming in. This is the official post by the Ministry of Defense. It says drones have been sighted at 26 locations along the international border and LOC with Pakistan. These include suspected armed drones. The locations include Baramulla, Srinagar, Avantipura, Nagrota, Jammu, Firozpur, Pathankot, Fazilka, Lalgarh, Jaisalmer, Barmer, Bhuj, Lakinala. Regrettably, an armed drone targeted a civilian area in Firozpur, resulting in injuries to members of a local family. The injured have been provided medical assistance and the area has been sanitized by security forces. So you see, this is what the Pakistani military does. Targets unarmed civilians. And this is the design that they follow throughout the year. Like you said, General Saab, that, what is the ceasefire? The ceasefire has been a joke over the years. The ceasefire gets violated at the drop of a hat.
Can I come in this issue?
Yes, sir, please.
Hello.
Yeah, General Dwivedi, you were saying something.
Can I make a point?
Please, sir, please go ahead. General Dwivedi, if you can hear me, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah. I thank you because there's some little problem with my internet. Doesn't matter.
No problem.
See, I wish to make 2-3 points. First and foremost, Pakistan, strategy and doctrine has been based on proxy war, and for the last 3.5 decades, the Pakistan has been prosecuting this war. And if you just say how much price you paid, we have lost 5,000 security personnel, 48,000 civilians. So we have not actually understood that this is the doctrine of proxy war, and Pakistan has been on it. The second point is that two-nation theory. I fought Bangladesh war, and that theory was dumped into the Bay of Bengal. We must understand this is the cycle that Pakistan repeats. It's right from Ayub Khan, Yahya Khan, Musharraf, and now we have Mullah Asim Munir. The point is that they always come up extended tenures, and they come up as the visionaries of the nation, and they have done the most damage to Pakistan. So Mullah Munir also has to contribute to the legacy of his predecessors. Currently, I would say we need to focus on 2 important issues. First and foremost, this is the time now to defeat the proxy war, and that can be only done if Pakistan army is hit hard, because there's only one organization which runs the country, and that is the army. And in the army, it is the Chief of Army Staff, who actually is the ruler, de facto ruler of Pakistan. So I am of the firm opinion that until we hit them hard and until we exploit the vulnerabilities, and Pakistan doesn't have the stamina to go in for long engagement. So it has to be a combination of attrition. It has to also combination of hard hitting. And last point is, what Pakistan is doing is to cause fear or psychosis amongst our border states. And I belong to Punjab. I've seen fought wars and seen also the 65 and other wars that they try to cause fear or psychosis among the border areas. But the point is, they don't understand that our border area, especially in Punjab,
right,
these people are very brave. They fight along with the army. And Pakistan would realize that if their jihadis are going to be complementing their army, our public is always with the army. And jihadis are the assets of Pakistan army, and they have been fighting the wars always on the back of jihadis, on the line of control. Each post has 15, 20 of the terrorists. And when we fought Bangladesh war, Pakistan was using Razakar as a shield. So Pakistan army is always used to
No, of
having
course,
some
they
shield
call
or
it
the other,
irregulars,
either
etc., etc., non-state actors, this, that, the other. But, General Saab, the truth is, and like Wing Commander said, when you have a jihadi as the general, what do you expect from the army? We have, General Mistry also wants to come in. A quick comment, sir.
No, go ahead. I think the wing commander wants to make an intervention.
Yes?
Yeah. I wanted to intervene. Thank you, sir. Another thing I wanted to draw our attention to, there was some psychopath in Pakistan, whoever coined this phrase, bleed India through 1,000 cuts. How I wish now had we had a mechanism from the very beginning, since that slogan was given to the Pakistani nation, to have been keeping an account of how many cuts have we been already inflicted with. It must have been, if we count every incident of cold-blooded murders by the jihadis across on our mainland, it must be far more than 1,000 by now. Still, if we say and take pride in standing tall and calling ourselves the fourth largest economy in the world, soon to be crossing 4 trillion, I think we need to rehash it all again, absolutely again. Also, Mr. Trump, geopolitics these days is a very fluid kind of a thing. It changes in moments, not even days. That is why the signals coming out of White House, while the faith and the trust that President Trump expressed in Mr. Modi's leadership on our Prime Minister's visit to US, while saying that the problems in his neighborhood he is capable enough to handle, things might change very soon. And that's why we have different versions coming out every other day, wherein the latest one from White House says ki de-escalate immediately, whereas in the morning from JD Vance, it was that we shall not intervene. We have to take a decision and take it quick.
No, you are right. And the person that you didn't name, the person who, infamously said, let's bleed India through 1,000 cuts, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, what happened to him? He was, removed in a coup by, who was it? Ziaul Haq, if I'm not wrong, and then tried in, whatever sham of a trial, and then executed. So, that is the kind of history that this country has. But the larger sentiment, and it's only right that we honor that sentiment, at least in spirit, is that Pakistan has been coming at us again and again and again. We must now give up our restraint and, go beyond these proportionate and adequate responses. The response has to be so fierce that Pakistanis think 1,000 times, at least 1,000 times, before even, thinking of an idea to lay either a finger or an eye on India. We have some breaking inputs coming in. This is in regards to what the IMF has done. India has red flagged the IMF funding to Pakistan. Pakistan has got $1.3 billion. This is the loan. And we've conveyed a strong dissent by abstaining. Like I said, viewers, that there is no provision of a no vote, which is why India abstained on approving a loan to Pakistan, and this was not due to lack of opposition, but because IMF rules do not permit a formal no vote. So by abstaining, India has conveyed its strong dissent within constraints of IMF's voting system and has used the opportunity to formally record its objections. Rishabh, my colleague, is now joining us for more on this. Yes, Rishabh.
Well, Pranesh, what we are given to understand that at IMF there is no provision of formal no to any, proposal, and that's the reason that India decided to abstain. Remember, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri earlier today did make a statement at the press conference and said that India will convey its reservations with Pakistan at the IMF, and why IMF should not be giving $1 billion loan to Pakistan, because India in its discussion said that this 1 billion loan will not be there to achieve the goals of IMF for which this loan is being given. It will only fill the coffers of the establishment. The money will go into the development of terrorism and terror infrastructure in Pakistan, and the people who actually need this money for which Pakistan has applied or requested for this loan.
The money
will
never goes
be
to people in Pakistan. It goes to these jihadi generals and their family members. All of them have amassed, wealth that runs into millions, if not billions, and most of them then run out of country and, enjoy a luxury life. General Mistry, you know about it.
Yes, I think everybody needs to read this book called Military Incorporated by Aisha Siddiqa. How the jihadi generals run a parallel business empire in Pakistan and enrich themselves over the years. And this is a fact well known within Pakistan, and the civilians quite resent it, but yet they are powerless to do anything about it. And so, as we had discussed earlier, this $1.3 billion is probably their expenditure for less than a week or so. And therefore, we need to drag this out and make them bankrupt and then hit them very hard. And in this period, we have to keep utilizing in destroying their capabilities. See, I'm not suggesting that you go slow. Be very selective so that you keep enhancing their vulnerability. You destroyed the radar system at Lahore. Destroy a couple of more so that you created great corridors through which your aircrafts can then go and attack with impunity. So that's the, being a smart about your retaliation is what I'm suggesting.
I don't think Wing Commander Matiman is too pleased with being smart, but, let's hear him. Yes, Wing Commander.
See, there you go, the IMF loan coming across. And we say we got to be patient. It's absolutely going to be used against us. We had a shipment coming through the Arabian Sea from Turkey to Pakistan, while apparently we had activated our mighty Indian Navy compared to Pakistan. I'm not comparing our Navy with China or the US. Okay. And here is the wherewithal to actually pay across the counter and procure more. So while we patiently wait to convince the world of the righteousness of what we have set out for, I think I pray for my country.
I share your sentiments, but gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Let's just hope let's just also pray for the well-being of our men and women who are at the front lines taking on the Pakistani misadventure, also the people in civilian areas, because they are also at the receiving end of, what this jihadi general called Mullah Munir is doing. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. The news updates on the other side. Please stay with Times Now.